Linh-chan and Dimi-chan play games. Hello and welcome back.
Welcome back.
We were heading in this direction. So these things are called keys, but they're just bats. I don't know why they need to give them a new name. Oh, no, so I think here we need to grab the fire. And grab that and then quickly, come on Link. There we go. I got a door. Ooh. No, don't fall in the toxic swamp.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, here I am.
Hi, Lin Lin.
I was just like dozing off.
Did you get your snack?
Yeah, I had this Filipino corn flavored chips. It's really good. But Dimitri doesn't like it because it smells weird.
They're quite strong smell.
Yep. Well, while you're battling these alligator-looking creature robot thing,
They're lizards, I think.
I'm gonna talk about American Sign Language.
Yay! I like sign language.
Why not?
I think it's really fascinating.
It's a really fascinating language, and we talked about American Sign Language before in some of our prior episodes. But if you don't know, when I was in college, I minor in sign language, and it was at the time I wasn't gonna take sign language when I was in college. I was gonna do because in order to graduate for my college, I went to UCSD, and for my college, I need for my undergrad, I need some sort of language requirement fulfilled. So,
and you were doing chemistry as your main, right?
and my main was pharmacological chemistry. That was my major. And so I needed a language, and I didn't know what to do with that. So I was gonna do Vietnamese because I already know Vietnamese, and I was gonna do Vietnamese, but then I didn't want to start over, and because I speak Vietnamese, but I don't know how to write. So in order to be placed in a Vietnamese class, I have to take a placement test, and a placement test is I have to write an essay in Vietnamese. Then they will know where to place me. But I didn't want to write a freaking essay because I don't know how to write, but I can speak, and I understand, and I'm a fluent Vietnamese speaker, but just not I don't know how to write. So I didn't want to have to take that. But if I don't take that, if I want to take Vietnamese, they're gonna put me in beginner's class, and I don't want that either.
Well, that would have been easy, no?
Yeah, I guess.
Like they try to prevent people from taking the beginner class when they know a lot. So
I didn't want to do that, and then I wanted to take Chinese, but Chinese was the same thing. I knew a little bit of Chinese, but I don't know how to write or read, but I can understand a little bit enough to have a basic conversation with someone. But still, I have to take a placement test that involves writing, and I don't know how to write. So
actually,
I opt out of that too.
So for the Chinese one, you don't actually have to take...
You have to talk to a professor, which I did. I went and talked to a professor, and I understood she was talking to me in Chinese. I understood what she was saying, but I couldn't respond back because I didn't know how to speak correctly in order to respond back to her. So she was like, well, based on your level, you understand perfectly, but you don't know how to speak, and you can't respond back, and you don't know how to write. So you have to be placed in I don't know where to place you except in the beginner's class, and I didn't want to start over either. So I was like, forget that. And then my friend was taking American Sign Language at that time, so she was like, you should take this class. It's really fun. we play games all the time because it's the only way to really learn about it, and it's really fun, you know. And then most of the time, it's more like charade that you're doing, you know, like Pictionary. So then I started taking American Sign Language, and it was, I have to say, the best class I've ever had. You know, in my entire college career. And I took all the sign language classes that were offered, and I decided to minor in it because not only for my college, not only had to fulfill the language requirement, I had to do some sort of fine art, like some sort of fine art requirement as well. But if I minor in a language, then it covers my language and my fine art requirements both at the same time. So I decided to minor in it. Because by minoring in it, I only had to take like 3 more classes or whatever. So that's how I became interested in American Sign Language. And for those who don't know what American Sign Language is, it's an actual language. A lot of people think it's just some gestures that people made up. Excuse me. Oh, now I know what it's like when you talk too much and you have to burp.
That's another topic, though.
Yeah, that's another topic. But yeah, I mean, people think that American Sign Language is just, you know, some gesture that people make up just to communicate. And it's based on English, but it's actually not. It's American Sign Language is its own language. It has its own syntax, its semantics, phonology, morphology, pragmatics, and phonetics. Like all of those components that make up English as a language, all of those components exist in American Sign Language as well. The only thing is that they use English as a written language. But other than that, as a spoken version of the language, instead of voicing it, they use gestures. They use hand motions. But so with that, it becomes its own language. So, I'm just gonna talk about some of the things that you know, make up the language. Syntax. Syntax is the structure of words in a sentence. So in English, it's what subject, verb, object.
Yeah, it's like the grammar of the language.
Yeah. So in English, it's like subject, verb, object in a way. So it's like I is a subject, E is a verb, and then apple. Apple is the object. You know, so subject, verb, object. In sign language, it's it can be used as that way, but it's not. They're not very strict.
Like the word order.
The word order isn't very they're not very strict on that. Like you can use English structure and people will still understand, but in America, you know, and often people do use it, but most of the time it's more. Yeah, most of the time it's actually subject, verb, object as well. But sometimes they add it in time. It's like time, topic, and comments, you know? And then sometimes it's vice versa. Sometimes I believe it's like, sometimes we even omit the subject part and just go straight to the verb and then the object. And then in sign language, you can also do the object and the verb as well.
Without the subject.
Without the subject. So you can
That's very much like Japanese.
Yeah.
Where like if the subject can be inferred from the conversation, you don't need to say it.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to say I'm going to the shop. You just say going to the shop.
Yeah. So an example of it is in English you would say I washed my car last week. I washed my car last week. So you have the subject, verb, object, and then you have the time frame. In sign language, you would do the time first, the topic, and then a comment, what about it? So then in this case, you would do, if you're following the same subject, verb, object pattern as English, then you would say, last week, I washed car. So then you still would place the time frame, the beginning. You tell them when it happened, and then the subject, verb, object. So last week I washed car. But then if you're following the sign language pattern, then you would do last week, so that's the time, topic is the car, and then you comment on it. What did you do with the car, or about the car? You washed the car. So then if you would, in sign language, you would say last week car wash I or me. and that's the comment part of it.
Got it.
So that's the syntax or the grammar structure of a sentence between American Sign Language and English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we go on. We have and then there's semantics. Semantic is the study of meanings, and in ASL, there based on your syntax, based on the sentence sign, like there's really no right or wrong way of doing it as long as the meaning comes across. You know.
So like syntax is not as rigid as it is in English.
Yeah. So in American Sign Language, they're like it's very loose. And people will still understand, you know? So I think that's one nice thing about it. And then next we have phonology. Phonology is the study of phonemes. And phonemes are like sounds. The sounds of a language. And I don't know what you will look at when you're looking at English and phonemes. What would you look at? The phonology of English.
Yeah, so it's like the syllable structure, things like that.
So the syllables, the way it sounds. So English, you look at the syllables, the way it sounds, like the spacings without stress on a
tone,
word, tones. So for American Sign Language,
intonation.
For American Sign Language, you would look at the phonology of American Sign Language. You would look at hand gestures, like the hand shape. Which shape is that sign, and then the movement, the location, the palm orientation. So palm orientation is really important in American Sign Language as well. Like depending on where your palm is facing, you know who we're talking about. Like often when you're talking about like moving forward towards something, like I'm going forward, or if the car is where I am and it's going towards someone else, then your hand motion, your palm gesture is going forward. And then if you're talking about something coming towards you, then that motion, then you would have your palm orientation facing you and from a distance out away from you and moving towards you, and that's an indication of like location and direction. And so palm orientation is very important. And then we have like something called non-mutual markers as well. So an example of phonology in sign language is the word girl and not, and the sign for the girl and the sign for the word not, like not something, is they have the same hand shape. And the difference is, and there's no motion at all. Actually, there's slight motion, but it's in place motion. And then the location is different. For not, you form you have your fist closed and your thumb sticking up. And then so that's the hand motion for girl and not. Is your all your fingers are closed in your palm and your thumb sticking out. And for girl, the thumb is touching the side of your cheek, the bottom, your chin. What is this called? Your jawline, jaw. So the side of your jaw, and that's the sign for girl. And for not is the same sign, the same hand shape, but the thumb is now touching your under chin. So the hand sign is the same, but the location is different. And that's the phonology of sign language.
Interesting.
And then same thing with the
word. So just like we have like special ways of moving our mouth in English. It kind of comes back in sign language in a different way. Yeah,
in a way, yeah. So then another example would be the word now, like right now, and then can is being able to do something, like I can do this. So now and can both have different hand signs, but it's the same movement. So can you form sort of like a what is this sign?
Like rock on.
Like rock on, that sign. So with your pinky,
thumb and pinky extended,
your
right?
pinky and your thumb are pointed outward, and then your 3 other fingers are folded in towards your palm, and that is a sign. That is the same sign.
Are you remembering the sign?
Yeah.
Lynn is gesturing right next to me.
Yeah. It's been a long time. It's been like 4 or 5 years since I last used sign language. But yeah, so the sign, it's like that rock-on sign where I don't know if it's a rock-on, but whatever. So your pinky and your thumb are extended outward, and your 3 other fingers are folded in towards your palm. And that's the sign that's the hand gesture for the word now and can. However, for the word now, your palm orientation is facing upward. Facing upward, but for the word can, your palm orientation is facing downward. And the motion is the same thing. There's the same motion. The motion is up and down. So for can, you go up and down, but then your palm is facing down, and then same thing for now. The motion is up and down, but your palm is facing upward. So those are some phonology of it, and like I said, it's been like 3 or 4 years since I last used sign language. So if I'm in any way incorrect, please excuse me. Like, I'm sorry if I'm incorrect, but I'm trying to remember the best I can.
Let us know if we are incorrect. Let us know what the correct version is, and we'll be sure to correct that. Because
the thing with sign language is that sometimes like it's very close to each other. Like sometimes I might get the orientation mixed up, but in the end, I think I'm correct. If not, let us know in the comment. So moving on, we have phonetics. Phonetics is the study of sounds itself. And in English, in a spoken language, you're looking at like the accent of a language, like how certain people from different regions have certain accents.
Yeah, like how you produce one sound, your voice offset timing.
Yeah.
All that jazz.
But in American Sign Language...
In American Sign Language.
In American Sign Language, since there's not really spoken, you can't really study the sound, but you look at the motion of sign language as a whole. So you look at how the sign is being signed. Normally, the sign is being signed in your mid-body range. So mid-body range meaning right in front of your chest and your abdomen area. So mid-body. But often, if someone is lazy, or if someone's lazy, so then their gesture might not in that mid-body range, but they will be a little bit lower, like near their abdomen range. So then that is considered like informal gesture or informal signing. So the location is not where the standard location used to be. So then that is the phonetics of sign language. It doesn't change the meaning, but the fact that you're lowering your location down slightly, even though you're doing the same gesture, the same motion, that is sort of like your own accent of that language.
So it's just like accents in spoken language. It's just in your mannerisms more.
Yeah. So then like some people, like I know for women are more formal in producing signs. So often they would use 2 hands to sign if it's needed, and they would sign in their mid-body range. For a man, they would often are more lazy, so they would use 1 hand sometimes. Most of the time, sometimes they would just use 1 hand to sign, and sometimes they'll lower it down as well. Not in the mid-body range, but lower in the abdomen range.
Interesting.
So, and that's the like sort of like an accent in a way. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk more about sign language.
Yeah,
and
so our time is up.
Languages.
Our time is up, but follow us on the next episode. I'll continue more into the difference between sign language and English.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Linh-chan, Dimi-chan, Linh-chan. Linh-chan, Dimi-chan, chan. Linh-chan, Dimi-chan, Linh-chan. Dimi-chan, Linh-chan, Dimi-chan.